everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today. Maybe some of you have been with us before for our webinars. We have really been upping our game there. So we've been doing a lot more webinars recently. Hopefully you've been able to join or watch some of the recordings. Today is actually the first one that we're going to do that's around best practices for teams. So not focused specifically on one feature, but really looking across the suite of features within Houzz Pro to see how you can make the most out of it for you and your team. So we'll start with some introductions. My name is Katie, and I'm on the product marketing team along with Abby. So we work really closely with our customers to get feedback on Houzz Pro and understand how you're using the platform. And then we also work closely with our product and engineering teams to make sure that we're building the right products for our customers. So as always, if you have any feedback or requests, feel free to send it over. That's truly how we decide which features we're going to build as we're planning out our future roadmaps. So just a few logistical items. We have the chat, and then we also have the Q&A tab. So as we're going through, feel free to add questions into either, and we'll do our best to answer them either live or just through chat. And then we will also be sharing this recording afterwards. So don't feel like you need to write everything down. Later on today, you'll be getting the recording. So with that, I think we can jump in. Today we have a lot of different features that we're going to be covering. We'll start with the basics, inviting and managing permissions, get into a few of the communication tools like team chat and commenting. We'll also cover time and expense. And then we'll focus on project management and some of the features there to really help you and your teams be more efficient with schedule, tasks, daily logs, Google Drive, and then we'll also talk about the Subcontractor dashboard. Just one note, I think everyone's plan includes a different number of team member seats. So if you're not sure what's included in your plan, I would say you can just reach out to our team through that chat bubble, and they'll be able to look into the details for you. So let me share my screen here. 1 second. Okay, perfect. Abby, can you see my screen here?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, so we're going to start with the basics, which is how you can add a team member into a project. So let's go into a specific project here. And you'll see in the right panel, there's this panel, which is also team chat. We'll come back there. But if you click up here with team, you can see who's already in your team. And then you can click here to invite a team member. This screen will come up and you can just add in their email address. Right now, I'm in a designer account. So the role options are either someone on your design team or someone on your finance team. If you're in a build account, instead of design team there, it will say field crew. And so selecting one of those options will give you preset permissions in terms of what that team member can access. So if I say someone is on my design team, they can access project management, these specific features, as well as lead management, communication, and lead access. All of this is customizable on the next screen, but we basically just took a first pass of what we think would make sense for those team members to access. And then if you want to assign someone to a finance role, they'll have access to accounting, online payments, as well as some of the project management features that make sense for them. And you can also choose here which projects you want to give them access to. So you can say, every project this team member should be a part of, or you can select individual projects here. You can also choose here whether you want them to automatically be added to all new projects, or whether you want to have the control there where you can go through and customize. And then same thing here with leads, you can assign them to a specific lead, to all existing leads, and then choose whether you want them to automatically have access to all leads. So then, let's see. Right now, this failed. Let's try again. It may be because I'm already in this project. Let's see if we add Abby. Okay, there we go. So then Abby will get the permission in her inbox. And then you can go in and you can review and customize all your team members. So here, company team members. You'll have a list of all the team members that are in your account. My account, for instance, has unlimited seats, but you can see how many here are used. And then you can go through just at a high level, see whether they've activated, whether it's pending. And if you want to go in and edit any of the details, you can just open up that team member's permissions. And again, here, it's really easy to choose specifically which permissions you want that team member to have. Same thing at the project level, you can go through and really customize all the permissions. Maybe I don't want someone to have access to takeoffs, for instance, select which projects they're a part of, and then same thing for leads. And then if someone, say, has left your company or you no longer want them to have access, you can choose here to deactivate them or you can remove them. And then when you're done, just click here, Save Changes. Any questions there?
None so far, but if you guys have any that pop up, feel free to chat in on that right-hand panel.
Okay, great. I also wanted to touch on something else we get a lot of questions on, which is notifications. So let me go here. If you're in settings and notifications, we often get questions around, will this team member get notified about certain things, or why am I getting notified so much? So this here is where you can set your notifications. You're not able to do it on behalf of your team members, but you can just go to this page or tell them basically how to access the page, and then they can do it themselves. So you can choose here what your notification settings are. So whether you want to get an email, you can get an instant email if you're mentioned or assigned in something, or if any change is made to that document based on your preferences. Or if maybe instant is too much, you can choose just to get a daily digest email, which will basically recap all the activities that took place that day. Or you can select to get a mobile push notification. So again, it's all super customizable. Maybe for team chat, you do want that instant email, so you know when you've been mentioned in a chat. But for something like a 3D floor plan, that might be overkill. So again, you can just go through here, customize, then you can also show your team members how they can customize on their accounts. Any questions there?
Yes, we did have one question about the difference between deactivating and removing a team member, and I can answer that. So deactivating is going to temporarily pause the team member's access to Houzz Pro, but it keeps them as a paid seat on your account. So if you need to temporarily restrict access for them, that's what you would want to do. And then removing a team member completely removes them from your Houzz Pro account. So it's a permanent thing that removes their access entirely. Hopefully that answers that for you, Lauren. And we may have one other. Okay, is mobile push a text?
No, so mobile push is basically a push notification if you have the Houzz Pro app set up. So I don't believe that we're sending any text or SMS. It'll all just be push notification through the app.
Correct. So like if you have, say, for instance, an iPhone, and if you get like the little notifications that pop up to tell you have a text message or you have a missed phone call, it's just like that.
Yeah. So if you don't have the app installed, I would say you should definitely install it too. There are lots of helpful features too that you can do through the app. Okay, feel free to add any other questions, but we can move on to team chat. So this is an exciting feature which we've recently launched. Right now, I'm sure a lot of you are communicating with your team members through text. Maybe some of you are using something like Slack or Office. And using text definitely gets the job done. It's super convenient, but it can be really hard to keep track of all that communication, especially if you might be talking to the same colleague about multiple different projects. So if you use Team Chat in Houzz Pro, it allows you to keep all those project-related discussions within Houzz Pro and tied to that specific project. So you and your team can really be on the same page throughout every phase of the project. So you can see here if you're in a project, again, it's just in this right panel here. and it's super easy to use. So there are a few functionalities. Let's say you want to mention a team member. So I'll say, Katie, can you review this proposal? Send a message. Katie will get a notification. And then if you click this plus icon, you can choose different documents from within Houzz Pro that you want to attach. So let's say I want her to review this proposal. It's sent. And then you can also, if you want to go in here, someone else could reply directly to this. You can edit it, you can delete it. So it has a lot of those functionalities that you may be used to if you are using something like Slack or a different software for communication. You can also, add little emojis. You can add emojis down here as well if you want to. And with this icon here, you can upload any files or photos from your computer that you want to add into that chat. So right now, Team Chat is specific for your team. You can't use it with your client or your subs, but we've seen a lot of great adoption with it. And once someone is tagged in here or mentioned, you'll get notifications. So again, I showed you on the notification screen where you can choose to get an instant email, a mobile push, or that email digest. And then when you're within Houzz Pro, if you click on these little chat icons, you'll see here the record of any chat messages that you received or were mentioned in. This is also super easy to use on mobile. Maybe that's more convenient for you, especially if you're not at your desk all day. So there's the same functionality there, and you'll also get notified. We have a few developments for Team Chat that we're working on as well. So if any of you have used it and maybe have feedback on it, feel free to reach out. But we're investigating chat at the overall company level. So instead of just having chat specific to projects, we're also looking at potentially having the ability to have one overall company level chat. So you don't need to only speak specifically at the project level.
We do have one question. Lauren asked, is there a way to set up different channels for a team, kind of like Slack?
No, so that's another great request. So right now it's just at the project level and you can only have one chat to each project. But that's great feedback I can bring back to our team.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, great. So staying on the path of communication, we're going to talk about commenting. So commenting is another really great communication tool that we have for many of our features. So you can use this in notes, 3D floor planner, files and photos, daily logs, or selection boards. So whereas Team Chat is at the project level, commenting lets you add a comment on a specific product or a specific item for your team members. So it's really like that next level down. So let's take a look at it here. If we go in, we'll start with the selection board. Take a look at commenting here. So hopefully all of you have had a chance to play around with our selection boards. We do have a lot of help content and some webinars on that we can share as well. But here I'm in a selection board, and say you wanted to ask one of your team members to help you out. You can go into any product, select again this commenting icon. You can choose here whether that comment is for your client or your team. If you comment specifically for your client, they'll get that notification. Any comments to your team will not be shared to your client. So you can just go in here and again, you can tag anyone on your team. Let's ask again, Katie, to do this. Can you find another option? You send it, and then that team member will get a notification that this comment has been made to them. One other example I can show you of commenting is, for instance, in a 3D floor plan. So let's go into our 3D floor plan here. Up here, again, you can see that same chat icon. Click on that for comments. You can see if there's already some comments there. So for instance, someone added the link to this bed here, or you can say again, looks great. So really anything that you want to say to your team members there, super easy. You can keep everything really contained so you're not trying to like flip back through multiple spots to remember where that specific question or comment was or what project or item it was tied to. You can just have it all laid out there. Any questions, Abby?
It doesn't look like we have anything new coming in right now. I think you're good to keep going.
Perfect. So then the next feature I'll cover here is our time and expenses. So you can see in the left navigation here, we have this stopwatch. And this stopwatch feature allows you and your team members to really accurately track your time while you're working, whether you're in the office or on site. So we also have this stopwatch on the mobile app. That's a great way to use it, especially again, if you're not at your desk, if you and your team are on site or out in the field. You just click here, clock in. You can choose the project that you want it associated with. You can choose the service. If you have a few ones in here already, you can pre-select those, or it's really easy just to create a new time service. You can update the rate, add a description, then just hit clock in. And this clock will just keep running in the background. You can also add another clock. So if you're working on multiple things at the same time, add the clock here again, choose what project it's for. That will all be running in the background. And then when you want to look at the specific time and expenses that have been spent across your team, you can go here, go up to search, time and expenses. And then you can filter by a specific project you want to look at. Say you want to see how many hours Katie, your team member, has worked. Just click here. You can filter by dates if there's a specific time frame you're interested in. And any of the services that you've previously added here, you can also select. So again, you can just go through here. You can select any. Some of these have already been invoiced, but if they haven't already been invoiced, for instance, you can click on that and then create an invoice, whether from scratch or add it to an existing invoice. Any questions on that?
Yes. Sarah asked, is there a way to set the time clock to auto round to the nearest quarter of an hour, basically?
Oh, I know we've gotten that feedback before. Abby, do you know if that's possible?
I don't think that it is yet, but we're actually working to revamp our current time experience. So I will put that on our list.
Yes.
And then the next question, does the team member need to have the app to be able to get the notifications or comments?
No, you don't need the app. They can get it by email, or they can also get it within the desktop version. Again, this icon here will show you any notifications or comments that you've been tagged in.
Awesome.
And then just the last feature I was going to cover on time billing is our time billing reports. So if you go in here, company, and then reports. If you scroll down to general, you can see time billing by project. So here, this is a great way to get a detailed report of how much time you and your team have billed and tracked. And again, lots of ways here where you can filter by specific team members or by project. Just give this a minute to load. So again, here you can see by the specific project, see your team members who were assigned to it, the different rates that they were billing, and then you can generate reports here. And you can also choose if you want to export it to have it available for you to manipulate. Also on the app, we do have location services. So if you enable geolocation, that's a great way when you are out in the field to automatically have your time, tracked to certain locations. That's it here. Any questions? As Abby said, we are working on a lot of upgrades here to our time and expenses over the next few months. So if you have suggestions, feedback, now's a great time to get it in so we can make sure that it's added into the feature development.
I do have one question from Jose. He said that he had some technical difficulties, so missed the piece, but wanted to see basically how project managers or GCs could use the time clock functionality.
Yeah, so if you're on the desktop, you can just click here on the stopwatch. You can easily add a time clock, choose which project it's associated with, what rate or service you want to bill for it. You can add any updates here. And then similarly on the mobile app, there's a time clocking function there. So you can just start the clock, and then whenever you're done with the task, you can stop the clock and it will all be tracked within that project.
Awesome. And Jose, I also just pasted in a help article, and that's going to show you how to use the geolocation for time tracking for mobile. So that will be very helpful for you as you're managing your different residential projects. A couple more questions have come in. Can you limit team member access to some tools such as finance? Could you show again the permissions page for an individual team member?
Yes, absolutely. Just pull that up 1 second. Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, so when you're on your homepage, you can go to company here, and then under collaborators, there's team members. And if you click on team members, that will show you a list of all the active team members that you have. And when you click specifically into one of them, over here, you can click edit. You'll be able to see their role and then all of their permissions. So, for instance, this person doesn't have administrative permissions, but if you wanted to add them, you just check whichever boxes here make sense. And then same thing at the project level, you can go down and really customize what that team member does and doesn't have access to. And then just click Save Changes here, and that will all be updated. Any other questions?
I got a little more clarification on Jose's question, which I think is a good one. So he was wanting to be able to do things that are more general, so like company-wide time clocks, and I think that that's a good point to bring up. A lot of our pros will create a project that is called their company name. So let's say mine is Juniper Build Co., right? I'm going to create a project called Juniper Build Co., and then all of my team can log that general information in there. That's something that we are considering, is being able to create things that are less project specific and more company wide. So if you have any other feedback about other things that would be important there, please feel free to drop that in the chat. We'd love to hear it.
Yes. Okay, great.
Awesome. You ready to move on to the schedule now, huh?
I think so. Maybe we'll launch one poll. Will you pull up your screen? We would just love to hear, we do want to make sure that you and your teams feel really well set up here. So what other resources would make it easier for you as you're onboarding and training your team? Feel free to add any ideas into there. Okay, we can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So now we're going to talk about the schedule and how that can affect your overall team and help to keep everybody on track. So let's just play pretend here that we've already got our schedule set up. We have all of the key steps of the project kind of laid out, right? The first thing that you want to do is assign those individual components of the project to the people that you need them assigned to, right? We make it super easy when you're setting up the actual schedule to assign out, but if you're working from a template or you forgot to do that step, you might want to assign things after you work through that, right? So let's say go in here to rough inspection. We can click Rough Inspection, and then you'll see right here and about midway down, there's an area that says unassigned. It's super easy to just click that and then choose the team member that you want to assign it to. So let's say Jen needs to schedule this rough inspection. We're just going to check there, and then it's going to go ahead and assign that to her for you. So when you kind of go through the list, you can assign exactly who you want it to be, and you'll see this little icon to indicate exactly who has been assigned what. So it makes it really nice for you to be able to go down the list and assign everything to different team members. You can also assign things to clients if it was something that was relevant to a client, as well as to a subcontractor. So maybe John Rose, this subcontractor, or Ben Rose, this subcontractor, is the one who needs to install the windows and doors. You can do that really easily. And from their side, when they're ready, let's say that Jen has scheduled this rough inspection, all she has to do is hit mark as complete, confirm that that task is complete, and then that one's going to be marked as complete. So you're kind of going through the list and making sure that things are done. Really great tool for you to be able to track who's doing what, when things are getting done, and all of those fun things. The next thing that I want to talk about is sharing. Up at the top right, you'll see this little share icon. That's where you're going to want to share with both your clients, your subcontractors, and other team members. So you can click right here, change the access to exactly who you want to have access to, and then that will share that with them from there. This icon here as well is going to tell you exactly who it's been shared with. So if you hover over it, it's going to say all team members have access to the schedule by default. So you would need to manage the individual team member permissions to kind of tweak with that, which is what Katie showed you guys just a few minutes ago. But that's going to be the place for you to manage that sharing. Some other things that are important for you here from the actions menu, you can also export as a Gantt view. So if we hit export, we can export this entire Gantt view. So that way you can print that out on a large sheet of paper and paste it up on the job site. You can share that out and be able to email it to different people. If you want to email it to a different subcontractor, maybe they like paper better and they're a little scared of technology, you can always work around that way to be able to share that with them. I'll go ahead and do one now so that you guys can kind of see what that looks like. It takes just a minute because there's a lot of information that it's working up, but it's going to load for us and then we can take a peek at that. Awesome. So that has pulled up for us. So now you guys will be able to see. Let me see if I can pull this into my window. 1 second. Let's get that guy into here. Okay, awesome. Hopefully you guys can see this. You can kind of zoom in and see this is literally a giant view of the entire Gantt schedule for this project. So if you wanted to send this over to, say, for instance, the person who prints your drawings, you could do that and get like a nice big full set size of your schedule and kind of keep track of things that way on site. So it makes it really, really nice for sharing information that way. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is creating tasks from the schedule. So we gave this example of the rough inspection earlier, but let's pretend that we need to do some more tasks with it. So I've created tasks down here. Like the first one was to contact the city to schedule the inspection. Let's create another task that says like site walk the day before inspection to confirm readiness, right? Obviously very important. You can just simply create that task. You can choose when it's due. Maybe the inspection's happening on Friday. We want to do that on Thursday, the day before, and then assign that to the specific person. So all of these things are associated with that one main item of rough inspection, but there's a lot of things that need to happen in the mix there. So that kind of allows you to kind of break it down into more granular tasks. And then again, assign things out. So plumbing rough inspection involves your subcontractor. It involves the city or county inspector. It involves someone on your team scheduling all of that. It involves them making sure that the things are ready. So all of those things can be broken out so that you can see exactly what needs to happen to achieve this one individual schedule item. So it makes it really, really nice to be able to break it down that way. Awesome. Any questions right now, Katie?
Yes, we do
Okay.
have a few questions.
Okay.
Question from Heather that's always good to touch on. Do the subcontractors have to have Houzz Pro to access that?
No, so they do not. We'll go over subcontractors in a few minutes, but we actually recently launched a new login free experience. So all subcontractors now, they do not have to have a Houzz Pro account. They'll receive an email invitation. They can click and open and view and never have to create a password. I know that's a huge pain point for subcontractors, having to create that account, remember that password for someone they're just trying to work with, right? So we've actually mitigated that completely. And so it makes it a lot easier for our subs.
Awesome. After you share the schedule with the client, do you have to send the dashboard or is that done automatically?
So once you share this with them, they'll get a notification and they'll have access to that specific functionality. And so this is basically just controlling just this component of it. They're not going to get access to everything else unless you also give them access to those features. So say, for instance, selection boards, maybe you're not ready to share selection boards with them yet, but you do want to share the schedule with them, they'll go ahead and get access to that schedule. But it's not going to give them full access to everything. But as they build and grow, it's going to continue to give them access to the different features as you go through the process.
Awesome. Just a quick question from Sarah. Can you show how easy it is to adjust the ETA dates on the timeline on the schedule?
Yeah, so you just want to be able to adjust just the date. You just simply drag. So let's say the windows are not happening. They called in, it's going to start Tuesday now. You can just kind of drag that. And one of our more advanced functionalities is this baseline functionality you see up at the top. So you can see I'm 4 days behind schedule. So it's basically tracking against the original baseline. So you can look through my entire schedule to see, okay, what's on schedule, what's not on schedule. This is 4 days behind. This is 19 days behind. And so you can kind of track where you're at. But again, that is one of the more advanced functionalities of the more premium plans in Houzz Pro, but that makes things really nice. You can also reset the baseline as well, set up those workday settings. So maybe if your team doesn't work Saturday and Sunday, or maybe they do work Saturday and Sunday and not Monday, Tuesday, you can manage all of those settings from here as well. Any more, Katie?
Just one question from Julie. Is there a way to export the calendar view?
Yes. So if you switch up here at the top to the calendar view, you can also export from here. So just hit Actions, Export, see Export Calendar, File Format. You're going to choose from PDF or PNG. Oops, I X'd out, my bad. Export. It's going to pull that for us. And then let's see, I'm going to pull that up and then you can see this calendar view here. So that's going to give you all of that information as well.
Amazing.
Cool. Awesome. Got a few more things to cover for schedule, so we'll keep things moving. I'm going to flip back to my Gantt view up at the top in the left-hand corner. A couple other things to note is the live mode versus the edit mode. So live mode and edit mode are going to be really helpful for you. Like if you want to pull something offline so that people can't access it and view it while you're making changes, you're going to want to turn it on to edit mode. So it's going to pause the sending of any notifications. It's going to pause any reminders. It's not going to be available for your clients or your subcontractors. And the edits are only going to be visible for you and your team while it's in edit mode. So it's going to be triple positive. If you want to do that, you're going to have to hit confirm and then it will switch it to edit mode. You'll see up at the top, it's going to tell you that you're in edit mode. You need to switch it to live mode if you want to be able to publish that back to the dashboard. So it's essentially like a publish unpublish functionality. So that way you can control when it's live and when you're making changes and you're under the hood, so to speak, and kind of prevent anybody from seeing something that's incorrect. So that's a really helpful functionality. Another one is saving it as a template. This can be really helpful for you and your team. So under actions in general, if you have the pristine schedule for this, let's say, renovation project, whether it be design or build, you can save your schedule as a template and then use it moving forward. So your project managers, you're saving them time by setting up those templates so that they can focus on things that matter to them in the moment, right? It's really helpful functionality to be able to do that. You can also manage your past templates from here inside the actual schedule as well. So super helpful things. And then last thing I want to cover on the schedule is a newer functionality, which is milestones and project due dates. So up at the top where you see add item, this dropdown is going to give you a few different options. So we just incorporated milestones. So this can be really helpful for you and your team. Let's say you want to have like specific check-in points for your project. you can create a milestone, and let's say rough-in is a milestone for your project. You can add that in and then be able to have that kind of date that you want to say, like, here's a checkpoint. We need to go through things together at this point. We need to make sure that we're through our checklist. And it can be really helpful for you to do that. The other is project dates. So this kind of incorporates your financial documents into the mix. So if you add these project dates in, then they're going to sync and update. So say this payment changes, the schedule changed, it will like automatically update for you. So it's automatically going to incorporate those dates into the schedule for you. Like I said, that's a newer functionality, but it's really, really cool to help you be able to link those milestones to those payment due dates and be able to see everything from inside your schedule. Okay. Any questions about schedule, Katie?
No, we're good to keep going.
Okay, perfect. All right, next we're going to move into tasks. So tasks is really helpful for you to be able to keep track of all the different things that you got to do for your projects, right? So we just looked at the schedule. We saw how you can link tasks to the actual schedule items, but you can also create tasks on the fly. So you'll see over on the left-hand side of your actual project, you'll see tasks under management. There's a ton of different ways that you can create tasks. You can also do it from the homepage of Houzz Pro. You can do it from the mobile app. You can do it using AI on the mobile app as well, which we'll cover in just a minute. But if we're inside of a project and we're under tasks, we can just hit that add new task button up at the top, type in what we need the team member to do, or if we're doing something, assigning something to ourselves, we can do that as well. And then be able to assign it to a person, give them a due date, review the status, whether it's open, whether they've completed it, whether it's not. And then also, if it was linked to that schedule, you'll be able to see right here exactly where it's linked to. So it's really easy to assign something. You see, like this one hasn't been assigned to anybody yet, but I want to assign it to Jen. I'm going to click Jen's name. I am going to, maybe let's change the due date. It's going to move back a little bit, change that due date, and then you're all set. Something else that you can do here, if you click to open that actual task, you can go and comment back and forth. So Katie mentioned commenting earlier. You can comment back and forth on tasks as well. So you'll be able to communicate with either your client or your team, and those two comment streams stay entirely separate. So if we need to say, Jen, please make sure to call John at Paint or Us before Tuesday. We can have a conversation back and forth to make sure that she's scheduling the painter and exactly how she needs to schedule said painter, right? So then she'll get that notification on her side to know, hey, we need to have this conversation. And then you can go through and just communicate back and forth on that specific item. You can also link it to the schedule. So maybe you created a task that you need to go back in and link to somewhere on the schedule, like maybe painting. We want to link it to painting. We can go ahead and do that. We can also add in a more full description other than just that individual task title here and kind of say all of the details. You can make a bulleted list and you can attach files if you'd like maybe there's pictures that you need to reference. You can attach any file that you want from right here under attach files. So that makes things super nice. The next thing that I want to cover is the task center. So this is really great to be able to see the tasks for just this project, but maybe you're the manager and you are working with multiple team members. Under the search button up at the top left-hand corner, we have the task center under management. This makes it really great for you to look globally and see what are people working on. You can sort it by due date and see what's due this week for each specific person across all projects. You can look at all the things that they completed in the last week if you want to stay on top of what they've already done. You can choose to see just specific projects or just specific leads. And then right here is where you're going to look at just the specific team member, subcontractor, or client. So you can filter and get super granular to see exactly what Jen Ramos is working on. Here's the things that she's working on. It'll show you if things are coming soon, like due really soon, or things that are past due as well, so that you can really have that managerial perspective of what's going on in your company, what people are working on, what things might be slipping, and that sort of thing. You can also look right here and export them all. So if you want to export them all, you can export the full list of all of those tasks if for some reason you needed that in an offline view as well. Any questions about this task center or the past task piece, Katie?
Yes, one question from Lauren. So her question was, if team members can view all their tasks across all projects, can they access that same task center to view their assigned tasks?
That's a great question. I believe that you can. The task center should be open for anybody. Let me confirm. I will check in just 1 second for you, okay?
Okay, great. And then another question from Lauren, is there a way to duplicate tasks or create a template for tasks?
Yes, I believe that there is a way to duplicate. So yeah, if you see right here, I'm on this task right here. You click these 3 dots, hit duplicate, and then you can duplicate that task. There's also the functionality to save as a task template. So you can save things as a task template. You can create a new task template or edit an existing task template, all from that little 3-dot icon right there.
Awesome. And then one other question, is there a way to export tasks if you wanted to add them potentially to another software?
Yeah, so you can see up here at the top right where it says actions, you can export all. It's only going to give you these 4 options, or not only, but it's giving you 4 options you can do as a CSV, as Excel, a PNG, or a PDF. So you can export that information and use it however you'd wish.
Okay, perfect. A few more questions, actually. These are great questions on tasks.
Cool.
Is there, if a task is overdue, will that show in the task center?
Yeah, so you can see right here, the due date is in red. So all of these are obviously many months ago, so they're all past due. So you'll be able to see, but whereas October 30th, we're still 8 days out. October 24th, you can see is very soon. So that one's in orange. So that's kind of color coded to let you know what's past due.
Great. Okay, I think we can keep going. I know we have a few more things to cover.
Yes, awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys next about how you can create a task using Automate, which is our functionality, AI functionality on the mobile app. So I'm going to just play a quick video for you on tasks. Okay, perfect. All right. With Houzz Pro's Automate functionality on your mobile device, you can create tasks for your team members while you're on the go. Click the Automate button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and it will show you a few prompts and ideas of things that you can do using Automate. For today's example, I'm going to show you how to create tasks on the go. I'm going to hit tap to talk, and then I'm going to tell it exactly what I need it to do. Create a task for Jen Ramos on the Jackson Residence project to go by Floor and Decor and pick up samples. I tapped finish. It's loading for me. It wants to confirm that we want to create it on the Jackson Residence project. I'm going to hit confirm. It's going to confirm our team member. We're going to check Jen Ramos, hit select. And there we go. Now we can choose our due date. Let's say this is due by next Wednesday. We are going to choose that. You can link it to an item on the schedule if you'd like. You can add in description if you want to say exactly what samples to pick up. You can add images, things from your library, etc. And then you're good to go. And when Jen completes that task, she'll be able to mark it as complete and you'll be notified. Awesome. Yeah, so we have some really cool functionality there with AI. So just wanted to highlight that functionality. You know, you or your team member will be able to use the mobile app to, expedite that task process when they're standing on a job site or when they're at a vendor, and they can just speak to Automate and tell it exactly what they want it to do. So really, really cool stuff. And now we're going to dive into daily logs. I want to show you another video of how you can do that exact same thing, but for daily logs. So we'll start with that so then we can jump into the screen share. Just like on tasks, we can also use Automate on the mobile app to create daily logs. You or your team can do this, and it's really easy. Just hit the Automate button in the bottom right-hand corner. And then again, we're going to hit tap here to talk and tell it exactly what we want it to do. Here we go. Create a daily log for the Jackson Residence project that says that I visited the site today, I managed the plumber, and I managed the electrician on site and communicated with the homeowner. Now that I'm done, it's going to ask me to confirm where I want it to create the daily log so that there's no mix-ups. We're going to confirm Jackson Residence. And now we can see that it went ahead and created that for us. Since we have all of our project info already loaded in, the weather is automatically added. Everything that I just spoke ends up in that overview section, as you can see there. And then from here, if we need to start making additional comments to communicate back and forth with our team or with our customer, we can do that here as well. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that newer functionality. You know, it can be really helpful for your team members, especially if they're a little more apprehensive about using technology. They can just speak to their phone inside the Houzz Pro app and tell it exactly what they want to create. So if you need them to create daily logs to tell you what they're doing on the job site every day or what they've worked on that day, it makes it really nice for them to just use their voice to say exactly what they did. So super helpful functionality there. And now we will jump into daily logs from inside Houzz Pro on desktop. Just one second. Okay, perfect. There we go. Awesome. So inside Houzz Pro, you can also create your daily logs inside of an individual project. So let's say we're back inside this Jackson Residence project. You can see actually that one that I created with Automate went ahead and made itself right here. But if you don't want to use Automate, you want to do it just inside Houzz Pro, you can just hit Create Daily Log up in the right-hand corner and fill out exactly what you've done for the day. So by default, it's going to choose today's date as the actual date, but you can always go in and backdate. So let's say you want your team members to, maybe they want to write them down on paper, and then on Fridays, they want to load in all of their daily logs. They can do that really easily and backdate things inside Houzz Pro. They can choose to span it over multiple days if they want, or just choose to backdate it to that one individual date. So it makes it really easy for them. And then you'll notice that the weather actually changed as well. So the weather is based off of the project location. So that can be really helpful for you. You know, maybe you weren't able to pour the foundation today because it rained. All of that will be logged in, and your customer will be able to see that if you choose to share that daily log with them. And it kind of helps you kind of build that case for exactly what happened and why, right? Something else that's really helpful here is that you're able to customize those daily logs. So maybe you don't want the weather. Maybe you don't want to incorporate the labor for time. You can hide those functionalities. So that way those are not included inside of your daily logs. But it makes it really easy. You can just go through and write down exactly what happened on the job site that day. You can make a bulleted list if you want. You can do a numbered list if you'd rather. Like, let's just say today, oops, not typing. Oops, I don't know what's going on there, but that's okay. We'll come back to it. But if you want to scroll down, you know, you can see completed work. Like if you have a schedule linked, you can link your schedule directly to your daily logs to see what things were completed that day. So like that button that I showed you earlier where Jen needed to mark something as complete. Once she did it, if she did it on Friday, October 18th, it would automatically show up inside this list. And then if there's any time or hours entered into that time clock functionality that Katie covered earlier, that could also be included here. And then last on the list is reported issues. So if you want to have like a rule or a standard that, hey, you know what, if you see something, say something, right? If you have a reported issue, they can go ahead and make a list of those things while they're logging their daily log for the day. So that makes it really nice to kind of have that all-encompassing view of what's going on the job or on a project at any point in time. They can also attach files. You or your team members can attach files either from local or from Google Drive, which we'll cover in just a moment. And then also there's that commenting functionality here as well that we've covered across other features. Client and team, you can comment back and forth and say, wait, why did you do this? Why didn't this person show up on site? And go back and forth and kind of manage things from that way. So it makes it really nice to be able to stay on track with many projects happening at one time. This is really relevant for both designers and contractors. Either party can use this functionality to stay on top of projects, because it's really hard, especially if some of you are the owner or the manager of the business, to be able to know, what is everybody working on? What are they doing? What problems are they having in the field? This reported issues thing is really great. Like, let's find the red flags and talk about them and fix them before they become really big blockers for a project, right? It's also great to be able to use daily logs for just review purposes. So if we back out to the daily logs, you can see all of the things that happen for this project. Again, you're going to see the little icon to say who created them. If there is a comment thread going on, you'll see that comment right here. And then you can also use these little 3 dots here to be able to duplicate and edit if you want to just go ahead and automatically edit them, or if you want to delete them. So a lot of nice functionality there for you to be able to kind of expedite that daily log process. Any questions, Katie?
Nope, no questions on daily logs.
Okay, cool. Well, we are going to go ahead and jump into the Google Drive integration. That's another one of our more recent launches. So if you go over to settings, under integrations, there's Google Drive down at the bottom. This is where you're going to want to go to kind of manage the connection of Google Drive. So if you just hit that connect button right here, we're going to choose my fake Google email, and we're just going to choose that guy, and it's going to be connected for us. Super easy, just a few quick steps. We're already connected. Now we can use our Google Drive files, photos, any document type that we want inside Houzz Pro. I bring this up because it can be really nice for you to manage everything in one place, especially as you're working with a large team. Sure, Google Drive is fantastic, but being able to access the things that you need in one place is also really important. So if we're inside this project under files and photos down here, that's where we're going to manage all of our files and photos. So it's going to organize it for us, all of our files and photos together, just the Houzz specific files here, and just the Google Drive files right here. So let's say we've linked our Google Drive and we want to pull something in from Google Drive, so that way our whole team has access to it, right? You're just going to want to hit add from Google Drive, and then it is going to hopefully pull up for us. Playing games with us right now. Bear with me. Add from Google Drive. Perfect. So now you can see that it's saying add files from Google Drive. You can look at your drive. You can look at the files that are shared with you or your shared drives, right? So let's open this one up and find the file that I want to add. Okay, let's say some meeting notes that I want to link in. Just going to hit select, and it's going to go ahead and load those meeting notes in for me here. I'm going to filter to view just the Google Drive files. So now you'll see that this Lester project meeting notes are right here. And you'll see this little link icon here. Something important to note is that any Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Sheet will be a live link. So let's say I make edits to this file and then come back, then the other team member needs to open it. It's always going to be the most updated version because of that, the functionality that it is like a Google product. If you upload a PDF or a JPEG or more of like a static file type, it will not automatically update. You will have to upload a new version of it to Google Drive. But for Google products like Google Docs, Slides, Sheets, those fun things, that's always going to be a live link. So either you and your team can access the most current version at all times, or your client or your subcontractor, all of you are getting access to the most current version at all times. Something else important to note about Google Drive is that all permissions are still managed through Google. So unfortunately, we cannot control your Google permissions for you. We wish we could, but you do still have to have shared the Google Drive file with either your team member, with either your client or your subcontractor. What I recommend is you create those folders specific to those different audiences. So maybe you have a folder that you want to share everything in that folder with your team. You can open up access to everything in that for your team, and then they'll be able to access that. So basically when they click to open it, Google's going to check the permission, and then they're going to show them or not show them what they need access to. So that's something super important to note there. Any questions about Google Drive, Katie?
No questions. Danny, I see your question. I'll reply. It seems like a pretty specific challenge that you've been facing.
Awesome. Sounds good. And then last, and my personal favorite, is the subcontractor dashboard. So managing subcontractors in Houzz Pro can be really, really helpful for you. like I said earlier, we recently launched the new login-free subcontractor dashboard, which is really helpful. Subs don't have to create that password, man. That's really important to them. So we really wanted to serve them in that way. So to manage all of your subcontractors in Houzz Pro, over on this left-hand side, you'll see company, and then you'll see subcontractors listed under collaborators. If we just click there, we're going to see the list of all the subcontractors for our business. You'll see that some fields I haven't filled in, oops, but you'll be able to do that from right here on this screen. So let's say this specific one, I didn't choose a trade. This is a painter. I want to change the trade. And then it's also going to show you things like how many projects they're included on. If you have any of those super important, like workers' comp certificates or their insurance certificates, it's going to show you all that information here as well. So this is kind of like the global view of each individual subcontractor. So if we click to edit and open that actual subcontractor, we'll be able to see all of the details about that sub. So their name, their contact information, phone number if you've loaded it in, their company information, and then like I just mentioned, those certificates. So let's say this is the general liability certificate. This is the W-9. You can add in expiration dates as well to be able to track literally everything about the subcontractor in one place. And then also manage their project access from this page as well. So maybe you're adding in a sub and then retroactively adding them to 4 or 5 projects. You can just go down the list and check which projects they need access to and which ones they don't. It's also great, if you need to remove a subcontractor. Maybe they did something bad on your project and you don't want to work with them anymore and you want to make sure they don't have access to your stuff. You just hit this remove subcontractor button down at the bottom and you can pull them off of all projects at once. So that could be super helpful for you. The next way to manage your subcontractors is on the individual project. So let's go back into this Jackson Residence project. And over in the right-hand corner, like Katie pointed out earlier for team chat, you can also click and choose subs. So this is going to show you the list of active subs in this project, as well as allow you to invite additional subs to the project to be able to collaborate with you. So you can see here, I have no subcontractors added. So I need to choose which subcontractors I want to incorporate. So let's say I want to add Rose Plumbing. I'm going to hit add. I can add a personal note and say, John, we are starting a new project and would love to work with you. Right? And then just hit invite. It's going to go ahead and email that out to John, and then he will have access to this project now. So if you want to take a peek at kind of what that looks like, we can hit preview right here and preview that subcontractor dashboard. So they'll have access to a login free, like I said, experience just like this. They'll see exactly this. They're going to see any of the files and photos that you shared with them, and they'll also be able to upload their own. So if they're on a site or on a project and they need to upload a picture to have a conversation with you about, they can actually do it from right inside this login free access point. They can also view any tasks that you've assigned to them so that they can mark them as complete, they can comment on them, or they can add photos to those tasks. So maybe you say, hey, you need to go touch up this paint and I want a picture proving that it's done, right? They can do that and then mark the task as complete. And then on your side, you'll be able to view exactly what that looks like. Similarly, daily logs, they'll be able to see any daily logs that you share with them. They're not going to be able to create their own daily logs, but they will be able to view the daily logs that you share with them. So maybe you want them to kind of know what's going on the site, then that's going to keep them updated that way. And then lastly, the schedule, it's going to show them their relevant items in the schedule, things that are assigned to them, and they'll be able to view and mark those as complete as well. Up at the top, you can choose the subcontractor. So if you want to see exactly what it looks like for a specific subcontractor, you can see that here. I haven't shared anything with this person, unfortunately, but that's exactly where you would do that. You can also resend the invitation to them from up here in the top right-hand corner as well. So lots of great ways to be able to collaborate with that subcontractor and give them access to all the pertinent information for them so that they can do their job and you can finish the project together. Okay. Lots of talking. I apologize for hitting that kind of fast, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to cover anything that you guys would like.
Thank you so much for joining. We hope this was useful. And again, you'll be getting the recording later on today. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Abby.
Thanks, everybody.